Hello. Anybody? Is there anybody out there? I think it's time for us to be more radical. I mean, more radical in our approach to the way we interact in society. Anybody else? Pose it as a question, because it's a question that I think is very important. Radical changes are needed to society. I mean, we're being pushed in one direction, obviously, by the political and cultural restrictions, the social restrictions that are implied by the changes that are happening in governments around the world. And so, do we need to change? Do we, it's how do we change to make a better society rather than just accepting what is doled out to us? I mean, this is what you have to do. This is what you have to do. I mean, we have the ability to, luckily, or blessedly, or whatever, we have the ability to change our own lives, and we do that on a moment by moment basis. But what we accept in society as a whole is starting to look like that great song. Oh gosh, there's so many. I mean, I love music so much. There's a second lockdown, there's a curfew being put in here in Los Angeles, and through from the ridiculous minds of the controllers, including the ridiculous Gavin Newsom, who I'm sorry, but I think the man's power crazy. I mean, bringing in a curfew, it's from 10 at night until 5 in the morning. So a curfew will help. What? I mean, COVID goes out at night. I mean, if there was truly a life-threatening situation, if we stay in our homes from 10 at night until 5 in the morning, it's because the bogeyman is out there. You see what I'm saying? It's like this fear factor, the major fear factor that is being turned up by Tin Pot Hitlers like Gavin Newsom and other people all over the world. And I mean, in the UK, friends of mine are struggling daily. It's become evident to me that this is about control. It's not really about controlling the spread of the virus. This is about controlling the people to fictitiously control the spread. If the tests that they're doing prove to them that See, the thing is, the tests they are doing prove to them that this exists as a particularly deadly pandemic, which, according to the figures, and they're testing more and more, according to the figures, doesn't look like it's any more deadly than many other things. I mean, out of respect to people with immune systems and challenged immune systems, sorry, and the vulnerable and the weak, yes, but you know, don't you help them and not have everybody locked down and isolated? I mean, it's like the poor, the ones with challenged immune systems, they're the ones that need help, and yet they're saying that all of society has to break down in order for us to help them. Well, I've always, prior to this scare, tried to help those less fortunate. I mean, if that's not how you want society to be built, then this control system's doing what it thinks is the right thing. I don't believe it is. I honestly don't believe it is. I don't think this is the right way to go. And nobody, once you sit down and you talk calmly and clearly, not many people disagree with me. I mean, we need to take care of our old, our infirm, our unwell and sick people in our world. I mean, that's what we need to do. So in a way, I see that the system is punishing everyone because we're not taking care of them. Well, we are. I mean, we're doing the best we can in a corrupt society that seems to marginalize old people and marginalize disabled people, people who are unwell, and marginalize them as somewhat of a, and society's done this for a long time. Marginalize them is not really contributing to society. And it's like, if we don't learn from our elders, you know, the ones that have had the knowledge, experience, and we isolate them, you know, there's so many things, control grid that's clamping us down, that are detrimental. I mean, severely detrimental to our psyche and to our sense of being in this world. We need a better, more caring society, not a more restricted society. We need a freer society. This is about freedom. This is about the ability to choose love over controls and fear. I mean, many years ago, I was talking to some wonderful people, and they said that the opposite of love was fear. And I said, oh, I don't know about that. You know, I've always been told love and hate, you know, are the opposites. And they said, no, that's just how you react. We're talking about the unconditional love. The opposite of unconditional love is unconditional fear. And that's where we are. And I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, because I'm try to stay open. Now I'm starting to recognize that some of what they were saying was kind of true. I mean, I'm not saying it's true, because truth is about perception. But I do know that unconditional love is very important. The most powerful, important thing in the world. is unconditional love. Just watching my neighbour. He's well, neighbour. I say neighbour. He lives in a room below me. He fixes cars, and he always has these great analogies about cars that are not about cars. It's kind of like Zen and the art of motorcycle maintenance. It's kind of like you have to take it all apart and understand it, and then put it all back together. It's kind of what we're doing. I mean, the only real benefit of this isolation is the ability to look very deeply within at what you really truly desire. I mean, what is it that makes you tick? You know, what is it that makes you you? Another journey I took for a long time, and I'm still on this never-ending hero's journey. Another journey I did take was with Alan Watts, and you know, almost everything he says is so brilliant. And if you get the chance, please listen to Alan Watts and not listen to me, because he does it better than I do. But it's a similar thing, though. It leads back to who am I? Always leads back to that universal questioning: is who am I? I mean, it's important to know who you are, to know what it is that you desire in life. And you know, Alan Watts, along his human experience before he sadly passed away, recognized that that's the important question: who am I? But he also explained the human existence to reach the point where it's who am I. And one of the things he explained was the irreducible rascality of humans. You know, we are rascals. And I think he was talking for himself, but he was also talking about his general view of humanity. Is as individuals we can act in a rascal way, you know, in a kind of wanting things that we know aren't good for us, you know. I mean, but to bring it back to today, because I think today's a very important day, as is every day. Let me add that, but for me particularly, today is a very important day, because I'm dealing with a lot of things that I've really let slip, and self-care I've let slip a little bit. So I'm picking that up. So the self-care part of being a functioning and whole human being within society is very important. I have to take care of myself. So some of the things that we take for granted are challenged by this current situation in the world. Health, wealth, happiness, you know, all the balance things that I've talked about when I've been talking to the screen. You know, and when I say health, it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. And again, I'm going to go to why we have a thumb. It's so as we can transmit and receive help for all of those things, and once we've discovered those things, to transmit those things. So who you are in society is important. Each and every one of us is very important. It's integral, because we are all one. But what we've done is we've given away the power of leadership to some self-appointed people that we disagree with. So, you know, that's a really difficult situation to get yourself in, because once they get there, they enforce rather than represent. They enforce their rule, and then they've been, I mean, even some of the people that have been duly elected and asked to be representatives of your groups, even those are sometimes they get power crazy, and sometimes they're weak of spirit. They become manipulated to believe in godless things. I use the word God as a big generalism, but it's like that whole point of life. Today I had some good news on my business, my small business that I run called Tunnel Mental. Actually, yesterday I did too. I had a friend who's technically more proficient than I am, I think, and he wants to help me sell some of my wares, you know, products, t-shirts, mugs, things, I mean, music, obviously, art, things that I've created. I create them because I enjoy the power of creativity, but I don't put them out to the market. Or I do put them out to the market, but I don't jump up and down and go buy me, because I just think that that's not my role. I mean, my role is to stay creative, but then that's a creative process too, how you merchandise your product. And so he's going to help me with that. And also a DJ in England called Nigel Carr, C-A-R-R, who works for a radio station called Radio Alti, and he also works as a writer. He's a really great music historian. I mean, the man's a national treasure in England and should be on mainstream radio, television. I mean, he's a wealth of knowledge, and he's a very brilliant and sensible guy, Nigel Carr. But it's a national T-shirt day on BBC Radio in England, and the T-shirt he chose to wear was one he bought from me that says Tunnel Mental says, and there's a picture of Gandhi, and then it says disobey in those large letters. And it was kind of, I designed it because it might be time. You know, we've been following the brilliant Obey artwork that was done by, I think, Shepard Fairey. And the irony wasn't lost on me, because it wasn't about obedience, but it was. But there's a point at which, as a human being, you have to disobey the powers that be, because they're not doing the right thing. So seeing Nigel Carr, this DJ in England, works for Louder Than War, brilliant writer. Anyway, seeing this DJ put a picture of himself on social media wearing a Tunnel Mental t-shirt saying disobey with a picture of Gandhi on, kind of gave me a boost this morning. I was like, oh, that's cool. So hopefully people will buy Tunnel Mental merchandise and keep me in my cups of coffee for my morning talks and my talks to the screen, and maybe even discover the true beauty of what I've been trying to do with music and art, and maybe purchase some. So, you know, I don't end up as one of the many small businesses that has to fold because of this reaction to something that doesn't look, according to the figures, very deadly. So, you know, part of what I do is talk to the screen, but most of what I do is the creative process with Tunnel Mental. I will add links to this video where you can purchase our music and art, t-shirts, etc., which will help me continue to talk to myself. I really do love everybody. I mean, let me just get that in before we get to the end of this, because I've actually got to go. I have to help my children, which I really love doing. So I love you all very much, and I'm asking for help. I suppose that's the best way of putting this. I'm asking for help. You don't have to agree with me on everything, but you must like my products. All right. My music partner and I have been creating music together. Can't remember when we got back together. I think it was 20. So it's over 10 years as this current form of Tunnel Mental. But beyond that, there's little things that I'm doing on my own, little things he's doing on his own, little things we're doing and we've done in the past that I've just recently discovered. So there's a lot of new stuff from Tunnel Mental, and it's getting very interesting for me because I love being creative. So I will put links in the end of this so as people can buy our products. Many years ago, I was listening to a piece of music and I was like, this is so stirring. This is so, and you know, I was a child and I was like, wow, this just blew my mind. It transported me. Shortly after listening to it, I found out who it was, found out a lot about it, did a lot of research, and I found out the man that created it was a supporter of fascism. And so I was like, oh God. And then I thought about it. I thought about that rascality of man, that thing about what Alan Watts said, and it's like, can you separate the artist from the art? Can you understand that when people create, they go into a zone, and it's not necessarily all of their creation. It can be stuff that they're just an open channel to, and I believed that. I wanted to believe that, because that piece of music I found so beautiful, and yet the man that created it I found so radically different in his mind and in his ways than I would have liked. But I've recently noticed, you know, struggling, some very, very good people, really good, well-intentioned people, saying some very radical things about the way society is and the way things are happening, and you know, doing a lot of finger pointing. But they're actually beautiful and brilliant artists who are being pushed by this movement in society towards a dictatorial rule, and they don't like it, so they struggle because they weren't necessarily aware of what was going on, and then they suddenly become aware, and then they go, no, we got to fight, and you know, and they join political factions or religious factions or anti this, anti that. We have to get beyond the anti and get more towards the pro. What do you want from life? Do you want more love, more freedom, more choice? Just watching the beautiful things happening outside my window. You know, do you want less? You know, and I'm not talking about more in the classical sense of things. I'm talking about more from your life by expanding your love and expanding and transcending this lockdown system or whatever it is, they're lockstep. It just, we have to go within and then go without. And going without is not going without at all. It's actually going with more, because we're allowing more love to permeate society, and more love and more unconditional love, and more love and more understanding and more inner standing leads to a better society. We have to choose peace and we have to choose love, and that's a choice we have to make right now. But I don't like the way people are being vilified for their point of view right now, because the pushing and poking by the powers that be is going to promote a reaction. They're poking you in the ribs and they're saying, come on, say something. And it's like, no, be peace, be love, live life, live, love life, blah, 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 blah. Look at me. Okay, so I'm going to put some links in the bottom of this, and you can buy Christmas presents, or just buy t-shirts or mugs or whatever it is, other products that I've managed to design and sell. So you can buy those things, or you can go listen to our music. But if you listen to our music and you do enjoy it, please purchase it. So I'm going to put a link to purchase our music, because it really helps me put food on my table, help my children, help build a better society. I'm watching I actually believe it's an eagle. It's circling the trees. Yeah, I mean, the wing ends are split, so I think that's one of the. So we get a hawks here. I think that's actually an eagle. Don't think I've ever seen an eagle here before. No, I haven't. Could be a hawk. I don't know. I'll just have to look it up. All right. I love you, and I'm going to go now. 28 minutes. I said I'd do half an hour. All right. I said to myself I'd do it half an hour. I love you very much, and live, love, life. All right. Bye for now, Nigel. Cheers. Ending stream.